Okay. The support gold per 10 items now have quests attached to them. The quest is when you earn 650 gold via the unique interaction the item has, you get a special bonus. So the Ancient Coin quest reward is you get +1 skill point. And also, favor is now based on kills and assists as opposed to minion kills. You don't have to babysit lanes as much. The Relic Shield quest is you get a Malphite shield that you can regenerate by executing minions. And the Spellthief reward is you get a mini Storm Raider Surge upon spending tribute on people, dealing damage those 3 times. And because tribute refunds during combat, you can... Oh yeah, you only get it every 1.25 seconds, so you can't, like... Oh, interesting. Okay. Go over that in a minute. Okay. So let's go into more specifics, though, because Coin is also getting a pretty substantial change to how it works. Okay, so first off, it has a passive 2 gold per 10, which, much like the other GP10s, does not impact the quest. That is separate. So it means that they all have that same baseline 2 gold per 10. If you're roaming around the map, by the way, this feels great. I like that Ancient Coin has some gold in the passive GP10 because it means that if I'm roaming or clearing wards, I'm still getting something out of the item. It feels bad to miss out on 50 gold because I wasn't by the wave. This feels a little bit nicer to soften that blow a little bit. They also did not give you specifics, and so instead of sitting by a minion gives you 4 or 6 gold when it dies, that's gone. It no longer does that. Instead, it drops a gold coin or a mana coin. And you have to go pick up the gold coin or mana coin like you're playing Thresh with souls. The pickup radius, as it says, slightly scales with attack range. So, you know, Janet and Sona aren't in, you know, as bad a shape as Braum because Braum can take it, Sona can't. So that it balances that out slightly. Worth pointing out, people have talked about the fact that, or the idea that, oh my gosh, but like if I'm playing Janna, why are you making me frontline as Janna? How am I supposed to pick up coins? I'm ranged. What the F? This is bullcrap. But that's not really how lanes work. Like, think about it this way. If they're pushing you in and you're getting pushed back and back and back towards your turret, you're not killing any minions, right? You're kind of AFKing off the wave and it's coming into your turret. And the minions are dying underneath your turret. Like the melee minions, the cannon minions are dying literally on top of the turret. And you're like, oh, well, I just walk up to my turret and ding, I get some gold or I get some mana restore. That's easy. And if we're pushing and we're killing your minions and pushing you into your turret, the minions are dead and the wave pushes all the way to your turret and I can walk up safely and grab the, and grab the coins and it's not a problem. If the lane is at equilibrium and it's just exactly back and forth and we're just butting heads, okay, it's a little bit more contentious. But again, the melee minions are dying in melee range, so I just walk up to my own minion line and we're okay. And as the minion line, if the minion line thins out, maybe you can contest me for the coin and maybe it gets a bit difficult. And to be fair, like if the lane's at equilibrium and it's very contested and it's very difficult, you might see some hardship. But I think the vast majority of coins are going to be pick upable without much issue. Now, I also don't know the rate at which the coins are getting picked up. But what I did do is I looked at some numbers. And I did the math on optimal pickup speed. If you are literally perfect with a Relic Shield or a Targon's Brace, the passive gives you this much gold per 10. Right? It gave you 7.5 or 12.2 gold per 10 based on how upgraded it was. Which means, because those numbers didn't change, it'll take you 15 to 9 minutes to complete the quest. This is, don't miss a cannon and don't miss a melee on the non-cannon waves. This is not realistic. You will not actually achieve perfection. It's just not going to happen. And if you're Thresh, it's really not going to happen. And Thresh probably goes coin now because your quests are so important. Because suddenly you really, really care about this because a lot of your value is now completing your quest. So Thresh and, you know, all those guys are done. But if you are perfect, in 10 to 15 minutes, your quest is done. And tribute. Similar situation. It's actually impossible to be perfect on tribute because you have to be in combat literally every 30 seconds, which isn't gonna happen. But theoretically, perfect tribute was 8 to 15 gold per 10 and gave you this. If you never ever let stacks stagnate, you can complete it in 13 to 7 minutes. Again, not gonna happen, but that's the ideal. So, you know, you're looking at like 20-minute, 20-ish minute into the game quest rewards, right? Like, I think that's a fair assumption to go for, is maybe it's 20 minutes. Now, what I did with coin is I have no idea what the coin drop rate is. I didn't see the numbers. I don't know what they are, and I didn't play in PvE, so I don't know exactly how often the coins drop. So what I did is that, okay, with old coin or old medallion, which is the tier 2 coin, you used to gain this much gold per 10. This was old perfection. You can see it was very close to the other items, right? Old perfection was this. Well, we know that these items now have passive GP10, which means the dropped coins are maybe this, right? If it was 8.4, maybe it's 6.4 now. And we know that that tier 1 coins are 20 gold and tier 2 coins are 30 gold. So the medallion is 50% higher. So it's maybe 6.4 to 9.6. I don't know. We're making up the numbers because I don't know the numbers. And if that still holds true, then you're looking at, 17 to 11 minutes to complete the quest. These are made up. But considering that, the time frame here is in the 15 to 10, this is probably also 15 to 10. Probably. Probably, right? I assume it's something around this. It's probably close. But this is the timing of when you should expect with perfect play to see your quests complete. Pretty early, right? Feels pretty good. And if you didn't really get the mechanics on how the coin works, nearby enemy minions killed by anyone other than you have a chance to drop a coin that gives gold or a coin that gives mana. And the gold is 20 or 30, and the mana is at least 15, up to 8% of your missing mana. Okay. And the shield battery, etc. Now, a couple other things to point out, by the way, is there are changes to Spellthief's Edge. It is getting nerfed. Tribute can only trigger once every 1.25 seconds, which means that if I auto-attack as Lulu, or I'm pretty sure this also, like, I don't think it's a per target thing, I think it's total, means if I hit like a 5-man mantra karma queue, I get 8 gold and not 16. If I tormented soil the enemy team, I get 1 stack and maybe a second by the time they leave. Tribute is going to be way, 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 way less stacked. This stuff's getting mad nerfed. It is getting mad nerfed. Now, this is a slight push away from mage supports, I guess. I mean, it was super freaking free for Zyra to, to stack that up. It nerfs MF support, but MF support's kind of dead anyway. It nerfs Malzahar because Malzahar's E won't stack it. Well, actually, Malzahar's E will still 3-stack you. So I will say that I don't quite know for sure, because I had initially heard that the way Tribute was going to work is any given spell. Actually, okay. So I might be misunderstanding. So there's several things going on here. I might be misunderstanding because it's a little bit ambiguous. Okay, there's a couple things going on, okay? This might mean the move speed. This might mean that this move speed only triggers every 1.25 seconds. Maybe. Which would be actually a good thing because I can trigger my speed at a proper cadence. That might be all it means and it wasn't nerfed. Maybe. I don't know for sure. I had heard, and there was a situation on PvE where Tribute was changed to where any individual spell could only give you 1 stack per champion, meaning Morgana Tormented Soil would trigger once, and even though it would deal more damage, it would no longer trigger again and give me more tribute. Or Brand, if I applied and hit you with a spell, and you got hit by the burning damage, it used to consume, give me all 3 stacks. And would then only give 1 instead. I don't know if that is in the game, or if that is this can only tribute every 1.25 seconds. I don't know. I think it's you can only earn gold every 1.25. I am pretty sure it means you can't just burst 24 or 45 gold right away. I could be wrong, but I think that's what it is. Now, also, Frostfang gains 5 AP, loses mana regen. Frost Queen's Claim gains 10 AP, loses some mana regen. Eye of the Watchers gains 10 AP and loses more mana regen. So Frostfang got hit. Frost Queen's Claim got arguably buffed, and Eye of the Watchers got arguably nerfed. I did numbers on that. Okay. So I again looked at the gold value of AP and mana regen. Right? It used to be 82% efficient for AP and mana regen. Now it's 80% efficient for AP and mana regen. Now, if you really didn't care about mana regen, then you can say it's a buff because it got some more AP, and that's cute. Frost Queen's Claim actually straight got better. It went from 66 to 70% efficient. And I guess people tend to, again, consider that mana regen is overcosted. I don't know if that's really true, but people consider that. People don't like to consider regen as part of the cost of items sometimes. I think that's unfair, but some people think that. It got more efficient AP-wise. It only lost 25 mana regen, and it gained 10 AP. That's generally a positive trade for you. So Frost Queen's Claim is more likely to be picked up. And then Eye of the Watchers actually lost some efficiency. 10 AP does not quite make up for the 50 mana regen, unless you think the mana regen is overcosted, in which case maybe you still think it's better. But as far as the stat values of the items, that's what it's worth. I tried to math out what a Sightstone is worth. This is a reasonable approximation, I feel. And it means that, again, you're paying 600 gold for Tribute, 600 gold for Tribute, 600 gold for Tribute, 700 gold for Tribute, and of course Tier 1s are very efficient, you're only paying 100 gold for Tribute. And again, I'm pretty sure it means that Tribute got nerfed. I could be wrong. Also, worth noting, if you are a laning support, as compensation for this nerf, there is a buff here. It used to be that last hitting a minion put you on a mandatory 12-second lockout of not being able to get Tribute gold. Now it's a 6-second stacking buff, meaning if I steal the caster minion, I'm gone for 6, not 12 seconds. I would have to kill 2 CS. At the same time, if it's staggered, it's actually better for me. I would have to take 2 CS every wave for this not to be a buff. And no support takes 2 CS every wave, except Jerks. Okay, Jerks take 2 CS every wave. But generally speaking, if you are taking less than 2 CS per wave, this Tribute lockout is buffed for support. So this is a nerf, this is a buff, this is all close, but it's less mana regen. And basically what this does is it means that if you really want mana regen to spam more spells, you're more likely to go coin. And if you really just want raw AP and you're not going to spam, Eye of the Watchers and these, this line is a bit nicer for you because it's more AP, less mana regen. Which generally speaking, I think is pretty useful. Supports aren't spamming that much outside of lane. All right. Crowd control is going to be on players' names now. That's cute. It says Charmed. That's nice. Makes it easier to tell what's going on. End of game stats shows damage mitigated on self, shows damage to objectives, damage to turrets, vision score, which is kind of mathy, but designers had worked on it for several months. I had been seeing emails about that for a while. Designers tried to math out what a vision score would be. And yes, trust me, Sightstone wards in your fountain do not count. And eventually there'll be a CC score, so that's cool. Active items have more on their tooltips. That's nice for these 3. That's cute. Summoner spells now have a team color and a beam that shows which person cast it. So you know who healed, who exhausted, who ignited, which is nice because when you're in a team fight and you get ignited and you die, and your death recap didn't tell you which ignite it was, you can maybe sometimes tell who pressed the button. Death VFX, basically, there's a little red and blue pillar that come out of their corpses the second they die. Active items have extra shininess on the HUD. Major rework on Rift Herald. Still spawns at 10 minutes. Damage is down. Attack speed is down. Attack range is up, whatever. So basically the DPS is much, much lower. As long as you attack once per second, opening the eye will be every 2.5 seconds, I believe. Well, if I attack for 3 seconds, it's opened. And then I eat the eye. So yeah, if you attack once per second, it's the same cadence. If your team attacks more than once per second, it is a faster cadence, which means Master Yi is way the heck better at killing Rift Herald. And it means that Sejuani and Lissandra individually are worse, but combined probably a bit better. Again, DPS lower. Rift Herald Eye will not open low, so this means it's much more smiteable because it will no longer let you chunk it down with the eye when it gets low. It now pretty much must be smote to be last hit, which I think is good. It's an important jungle objective. Kind of guaranteeing the sanctity of smite range is kind of nice. Gold values down, whatever, don't care. And of course the buff is changed, the fight is changed, so the fight starts with her charging. You have to dodge. Every certain couple of attacks, she does a triple damage cone attack. So even though the general DPS is lower, as you can see here, the Baron-esque fight mechanics have returned, and so you have things to dodge, which is cool. I always like that. I think it's really compelling. So basically, it feels like if you're good at the game, you can really pretty easily tank and dodge this and kill it, and that's kind of nice. I'm also pretty certain that it now allows you to walk into the back yourself and trigger the eye. So again, a Master Yi is more likely to be able to solo it, because before, it would turn immediately and you could never get the eye by yourself unless you were Shaco or something. Now you can do it yourself, so you can solo it more easily. Okay, so easier to kill, squishier, but higher damage if you can't dodge. Okay. You lose the old buff. Instead, you get a 4-minute long item where if you consume, you pop it and you summon a Rift Herald yourself. It will on average kill about 1 turret. The designers don't really want, they don't want reliable 2 turret kills. Like, the general balance of the mechanic is, on average, you're getting 1 turret, which means for some people you might get more, for some people you might get less, it might get blasted. But yeah. And you get empowered recall, so you can heal up and go to the lane if you want to. And I would assume, actually, that proper gameplay means you hold onto it for 2 minutes or so, because empowered recall is great. Empowered recall gets you back to base 4 seconds faster. It full heals you, and you get the home guard buff, so you get back to lane 8 seconds faster. So laning with the buff is actually kind of nice. It'll let you get, a couple of resets off a bit more easily. But then, yeah, Rift Herald runs around and tries to F stuff up. It's pretty cool. The last major mechanics change is every champion who didn't already gain MR per level now gains 0.5 MR per level. And it is my final chart of the video. So you used to get, people as tanks got this. They still do. This didn't change. This is what Nautilus gets. This is what Shen gets. They get this much MR. Squishies had 30. As you can see, at the beginning, it didn't really matter. At the end, it was kind of meaningful. It was like 12% damage reduction or something compared to what a squishy got. And so squishies now get this. This is how much MR squishies get. And so what we look at is if you are Ashe, or let's say you're Forgiven. Forgiven never runs MR glyphs because he's Forgiven and that's just who he is. What this means is when a Nautilus or a Sejuani jumps you, in the mid game, you're getting, 2 to 3% damage reduction. And in the end game, you're getting 6% damage reduction against mages. Oh, sorry, effective hit points. You are 1.06x as tanky. It takes 1.06x as much damage to kill you. It exists, it matters. A little bit of MR. Now, I'm a little bit surprised, but then I looked at the numbers again and I understood it. If you are against someone with Magic Pen marks, the precision mastery in the offense, in the precision tree, cunning, and they have Sork shoes, what's the difference, right? Against the tank, 30 versus 38 is 6.5% more durability. Against someone with 28 Magic Pen, which is roughly what they get to by the end of the game, how different is it? And in the early game, it's actually not that much. 1.9 becomes 2.3. It's not exactly big. By the end game, it's 8% more durability. So against hard mages who are getting flat pen, now keep in mind, if they went Sork shoes and a Haunting Guys and you never bought MR glyphs, you're overcapped anyway and you're still taking full damage. It means nothing at all. But, if you're getting penned down very low, you're getting It's basically the buff means more against mages, what it comes down to, right? Here's the math. It helps against tanks, it helps more against mages. If they buy a Void Staff, okay, that value goes down a little bit. If they overpen you, you go to 0 anyway. There's a lot of situations where it means literally nothing because they will overpen you. Anyone who buys Sork Shoes, Haunting Guys, and a Void Staff, you didn't get a Hex Drinker, you're at 0 anyway, it doesn't matter. But theoretically, there are situations where it does, and again, that's to the tune of 7%. MR could never go negative from pen. And in fact, there's no flat MR reductions in the game anymore either, so there's no flat armor reductions either. So there is no way to give anyone negative armor or MR. Penetration never went to 0. Penetration has never gone to 0 in League of Legends. Ever, ever, ever. You could never have penned below 0. Okay. So, Graves has a cigar, interestingly. Basically, here's the other champion changes. They're all very minor. Graves can no longer RE cancel the dash. I know some people are going to complain about this, but by mechanics, but I could do this cool thing on Graves and express my mastery of the champion, and that's fair. There's mechanical mastery. That is one of the skills of League of Legends. However, champions need to have strengths and weaknesses, and Graves being able to train you down forever is, I guess, not an intended strength. And so they said, sorry, buddy, you can't do the RE cancel anymore. If you didn't know how to do it before, it was auto attack and then immediately R then E. As long as it was within about a quarter second of you auto attacking, you could R and then cancel into E. So, oh well, it's gone. Some small things for Renekton. He can queue abilities a bit better. That's nice. It's going to be a good quality of life. It'll make him faster, especially online. I think he might gain like, well, it depends because there's a bunch of big system changes to the game. But if this were done in isolation, I think Renekton would probably gain like 0.5% of win rate or something off these changes. Gets his proper 5 Fury. You can queue up abilities. Slice and Dice now is tracked on his ability bar instead of the buff bar. Cold and Meek now scales off of things like Sterix Gauge and it's Sterix Gauge and like Elixir of Iron and things like that. So you can get some more radius off that. I guess Dominus technically did extra damage on cast, so that's gone. So that's, I guess, a small nerf. But these are all just minor things. It's basically just there's a couple of designers who go through and recode champions sometimes and make sure that things work out well. I think there's another one coming in 7.10, which looks pretty sweet. But yeah, this was probably just a recode to make sure that things worked well. So Renekton got a nice update. Small buff to Rise. Basically, it feels like Rise seems to be pretty balanced in pro play. Like, he's still playable in pro, and he's obviously a dumpster fire in solo queue for the most part, and outside of very high ratings. And so there's just a bunch of like quality of life buffs that they're giving Rise to try to edge him back closer. It's not going to fix the problem, but it gets him closer. So Spell Flux now bounces if the target dies, which is, you know, feels good. This never had to matter, but this would have been pretty sad against Maokai. So would this. Basically, W and Q should never have been on spell effects. Shen Q and Fizz W, so whatever. Really, really minor. These mean basically nothing. Poacher's Dirk is getting arguably buffed. For what it's worth, 5 gold is worth 175 gold. Or sorry, 5 attack damage is worth 175 gold. So technically the item is less efficient. Technically it's a less efficient buy. So, you know, that's a thing, I guess. But realistically, you can poach more readily. You can buy it a bit sooner. Maybe we see some more Poacher's Dirk come through because this is actually the major buff. This is the thing that actually matters. More likely to be able to poach. Probably still not an item we see people buy, but who knows. VFX. Teleport now is better at finding things to target to. That's cute. Rotating game mode looks pretty cool. This is actually really sick, by the way. This game mode looks pretty awesome. It's basically Pudge Wars meets Smash Brothers, which I think is really cool. If you've never played Pudge Wars, that's too bad. It was great. Basically, you're going to hook each other into the middle. As you deal damage, they get hooked farther. This can be really fun. It's probably going to be really, really fun. I'm looking forward to this. In NA, the Qs are fine. Then some of these bug fixes actually mattered, so we're going to cover a few of them. You could sometimes, if you were Ari and you were dashing with your ultimate and you got stunned or something, you could sometimes flash. because of weird like queuing issues. So that's gone. Twisted Tree Line, people could dodge Vile Maw. Some VFX changes for Amumu's not a big deal. Redemption charging tier doesn't really matter. Shaco's clone, oh, that's bad. Really minor thing for Deathfire Touch. People could overwrite your damage. This is nice for Singed players. We saw it on Reddit a while ago. Actually, there's several of these. Both of these are the same change. It comes down to how the designer coded the ability, and it's worth pointing out that Singed and Volibear are both very, very old champions. And so now they are coded to understand that when you rank up the ability immediately says, oh, right, we're stronger now. So Poison Trail increases immediately, it upticks its damage. And Volibear's W immediately upticks its attack speed. Nice to have, certainly helpful. Small Recon Bug with Callista. Apparently Udyr could kill wards. And the rest of these are all visual, so it doesn't matter anymore. A couple of skins coming out, a couple of chromas coming out. Sweet, there we go. And that is it for the gigantic patch rundown. Oh, baby, we did it. It was amazing. Thank you all very much for tuning in. If you're on YouTube, please leave your comments below and let me know how I can improve upon any future patch rundowns. If you're on Twitch, I'm happy to take Twitch replies as well. But for the YouTube video, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.